with AutoSuccess magazine. Today I have the pleasure of introducing to you Tim James. Tim is going to share with us some vital information on how to really make your videos stand out online, how to shoot great videos. If you haven't already, please join the group AutoSuccess Webinars on Facebook. It's a place where you can interact with our speakers before and after the webinar. So and also feel free to reach out at any time to myself or to Tim. You're going to learn a lot of really good, valuable things today, and as you go to implement it, you might come across questions or things that maybe you forgot, what we said. Please reach out to us. We are here to help. Tim, take it away, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank everybody for taking time out of their day and joining us here. Obviously, as real inventory videos, live inventory videos become more and more popular, I think today's presentation will help a lot of people go a long way. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with one of Google's latest reports talking about the 5 micro moments that that really need to be mastered. But in these micro moments, and if you request a copy of the presentation, I've got links to a lot of additional content, and this article is one of them. Throughout the entire presentation, there's a lot of additional links for you. But Google talks about one of the important statistics from their report is that search for inventory is growing more than 4 times faster than overall automotive search interest. So that's a pretty big deal. And these are primarily lower funnel searches as the shopper has been at some of the higher micro moments, determine the type of vehicle that they're interested in at the make and model level, and now are really starting to narrow down who I'm going to do business with, who has the car that I'm looking for, what is it about this dealership and the individual piece of inventory that I'm looking at that's going to make me want that vehicle, make me want to do something that I really don't want to do, and that's reach out to the dealership, actually contact the dealership. So it's more important than it's ever been to have the best presentation on that VDP page that we can possibly have. Unfortunately, it's still one of the places where we have the least amount of control. All of the various website providers, from from dealership to dealership, you're going to see the same layout. Yes, you can have X number of pictures, but everybody's got a ton of pictures today. Yes, you can have this call to action, you can have this conversion widget and that conversion widget, but they're being used across the board. So it's getting more and more difficult to really differentiate yourself and your presentation of your inventory at this point of the process. So there's really no better way out there than with a good video. It's all about transferring information and generating emotion at that same time. And the cool thing about it is today's consumer wants that video content. Every statistic that's out there, I believe AutoTrader just recently came out with another report, and in their report they're saying 85% of the shoppers prefer an inventory video on the VDP page. So it's more and more the consumers telling us, I want a video of this vehicle. I don't want to have to just look at pictures and try to read about it. Tell me about it. Let me just watch the video and hear your presentation about this car. So that's where having that presentation it really starts to get important. And what it comes down to are these real 5 basic things. The video quality. Now, when I say video quality, I'm not talking about the car itself. I'm talking about the quality of the image that we're seeing, and that's the same with the audio quality as well. Then we get into the content, and that's where what it is you're shooting, what it is you're talking about comes into play, and then how we can enhance that content to make it even present more information and more emotion, and then it's visibility, because that's another major hurdle, major obstacle that a lot of people have. They shoot great, good quality video content, But then it's on one touch point, and you have all these other touch points out there with your inventory, but no video. So it's all about getting those eyeballs. So we'll start with number one, the video quality, and that obviously starts with your equipment, the camera that you're using. Doesn't matter if it's a DSLR, whether it's an actual video camera. Some of the lower end video cameras aren't going to have some of these features that we're about to talk about, but some of the more higher end video cameras will. But pretty much every DSLR camera that you have is going to have the various features that we're going to talk about. But what it gets down to is they're all different. So you need to know your camera. You need to know how your camera functions the best in certain conditions, in certain environments. And it doesn't really take expensive equipment to get the best video. It takes knowing the equipment that you have, knowing what adjustments to make, because sometimes just small adjustments here and small adjustments there with your camera can make a huge difference in the quality of the video. If you're shooting a video and you notice that it looks a little pixelated from time to time when it's online, that's probably it probably didn't happen in the transfer process. It's probably the quality of the video that you have. There are things with your camera that can really impact that part of the equation and the pixelation. So you want to make sure that you know how your camera performs best in what lighting environment, and so on and so on. One of those things is controlling that environment. Pick a spot, have a certain spot where you get the best light that you can get, depending on the video style, the least amount of noise. I see video shot all the time where someone's talking about the car as they're walking around it, and you've got this, you're right next door to the service department, you've got the drill going off, and the impact going off, removing lugs from the tires, and all kinds of noises and banging going on, or they're out on the lot right beside the freeway, and you got all this noise going by, and here comes a fire truck or a police car drowning everybody out, or even worse, as you swing the camera around, you've got a picture of your competitor's sign right there, in half the shot. So really find a good spot where you can control your lighting, whether it's inside a studio with controlled lighting or outside where you're using natural light. But again, when you're in that spot, now play around with it on sunny days, on cloudy days, different early morning, late afternoon, and shoot small little samples with a lot of different settings to really find out what works best for you. We'll start with the easy one, frame rate. There's, again, I've got articles about different, from different people talking about these things, these same things for you. But when it comes to frame rate, there's really not a whole lot you need to really know, other than you're probably going to be best for what you're shooting. You're probably going to be best at 30 frames per second. Movies are shot at 24 frames per second. That's where you get that more of a dark feel to it. There's another popular that's called 60i, and basically the eye just it's a way the frame works where they're integrating two frames, really two 30-second frames into one 60-second frame, and you're probably just going to get the best quality for what we're doing at 30 frames per second. So that's the easy one. But then we start getting into where we can really have a big impact, and it's called the exposure triangle. Now, again, every camera is going to be different. Every environment's going to be different. And the settings that you utilize can also be greatly impacted by the video style that you choose, and we'll talk about the video styles in a minute. But what it all comes down to is lighting. How much light, what kind of light is getting into that camera? So we start with shutter speed. Now, shutter speed is known as exposure time. It's the length of time that each frame of your video is exposed to light. So some of your frames of your video can be exposed to light for you know, 1/5 of a second to 1/20th of a second, and 1/60th, the 30th of a second, 1/60th, 1/80, 1/100th, and the numbers just keep growing and growing and growing. But bottom line is, the way you want to think about shutter speed is the longer it's measured in fractions of seconds, and the longer that shutter's open, the more light gets in. That can be good and bad, and what really it can have an impact is when you start to increasing the shutter speed, it decreases motion blur. I wouldn't go below 1/60th at 30 frames a second. If you get down to 1/30th at 30 frames a second, you might start noticing a little bit of a blur in your video. So you can you know, increase that, take that shutter speed, decrease it down to 1/60th, lower the amount of light that's getting in a little bit. You'll see a little bit of a decrease in your motion blur. But the key also is, you know, on sunny, brighter days, or if you're in a controlled environment where you have a significant amount of light, you might even want to go ahead and bump it up to 1/80th. But it's playing around with your camera in the environment that you've chosen to shoot your video with your shutter speeds, based also on the video type, because some of your live videos may have a lot of motion in them. Some of them may have just a little bit of motion, and how much motion you have in your video can also greatly determine how your camera is going to function at the various shutter speeds. So take some practice videos at different shutter speeds and get to find your comfort level. But generally, what I recommend is at 30 frames a second, you're probably going to want to be at 1/60th. Maybe bump it up to 1/80 if you've got a lot of light. But one of those two, you're probably going to be at your best quality. Then comes the ISO. Now, most people, when you get your camera, you pull it out of the box, you turn it on, it's probably set on auto. And most people are going to tell you, don't ever use your camera on auto ISO setting. Basically, what ISO is, to put it, you know, in layman terms, is fake color, fake light. So as the light's coming into your camera, it sets a color spectrum. You've got your base, which is real, and then what it does is it adjusts the ceiling of that. As you adjust the setting, it changes the level. So basically, yes, it's a great way to brighten up a dark image. And on dark days, if you're shooting in a cloudy environment, you may want to increase your ISO a little bit. But you always want to err to the side of caution with your ISO and have a lower amount than the higher. But again, this is where it also comes into, don't just grab your camera, run out, and start shooting videos. Grab your camera, go out, shoot a test or two, testing what ISO level you're going to be at. Have a look at those. Make sure that you really are getting the color that you want. So if you ever find yourself shooting a video of a particular color car and you come back inside, you start watching that video and the color's off, it's probably your ISO setting. So you probably want to decrease the ISO a little bit. You also get, as you increase your ISO level, you start getting a grainy look or a pixelated look. So a lot of times, as you're shooting your video, when you come back in, you start looking at it, you start noticing, you know, that it's maybe pixelated a little bit or grainy. It's probably because your ISO was too high, or you have it on auto, and the camera was adjusting itself to a higher ISO based on your situation. So, rule of thumb, I would never go below or never go above 800. You're probably not going to find out many times when you're really going to want to go above 400. So I think in a good lighting environment, if you're staying between the 100 to 400 mark, you're probably going to be best most of the time. But you also want to adjust your ISO based on your shutter speed. As you are slowing down your shutter speed, letting more light into the camera, you can reduce your ISO to basically then utilize more natural light. So, you know, it's finding that combination that works best for you and your camera, because it will be different from camera to camera to camera. And then that brings us to the aperture, also known as the f-stop. Now, a lot of people refer to this as the depth of field. So this is where you can adjust your aperture so that when you're pointing the camera at an object, the background's blurry, but that object itself is nice and clean. And you can also open up that aperture where now everything in the picture is gonna be fairly clear. You're letting a lot more light in, so that it's really capturing the entire frame. And again, it depends on you. It depends on what style of video you're shooting, on how much f-stop you want to apply to the particular video that you're shooting. So another rule of thumb, though, is, again, if it's darker outside, you can increase your aperture a little bit, so that you're letting more light in and not having to adjust the other two settings as much. So if you're finding a situation where it's a little dark, you're not getting, you know, you're at the point with your ISO that you don't want to go any higher to increase the brightness of your video, go to your f-stop and increase the f-stop setting, and that's going to then let some additional light in. And what it comes down to is really finding that with your environment, finding that combination of ISO, aperture, and shutter speed based on the type of video that you're shooting, the amount of motion that you have in your video, that gives you the clearest, most crisp video based on your environment and your camera. But again, what I recommend, your starting point, 30 frames a second, 1/60th shutter speed. Take your ISO off of auto, and if it's a bright sunny day, adjust down to 100, see how that works. A little darker, a little cloudy, or you're inside where you don't have as good of lighting as that natural sunlight, maybe bump it up to the 400 range, and then start seeing if you need to go above 400. But I wouldn't, you know, would never go above the 800 mark. And then play with your aperture in that process, and see the goal of being the lowest ISO you can have with the highest aperture and the desired shutter speed. That's really the combination that you're looking for. If you're extracting your images from the video, you might want to increase the shutter speed a little bit, because that could increase the sharpness of each image as you go. Now, what you need to be aware of, though, as you're increasing your shutter speed, if you have a lot of motion in your video, then it can start to make your video look like it's jumping a little bit, like it's a little choppy, because basically you're decreasing the amount of time, or excuse me, increasing the amount of time between each actual capture of that video. So you're going to get a little jumpiness. So if you're, yes, you'll get a little more crisp image, but you might get on the video part of it itself, you might have a little bit of a jump. So you don't want to, just because you're extracting images, you don't want to go crazy and you know, jump your shutter speed up to you know, into the 1/1000th or anything crazy like that. You know, you'll probably still only want to be around the 160, 180, maybe 1/100 mark. But depending on the amount of movement, how fast you're moving around the car, if that's your style, then you know, that can also impact the shutter speed that you use and the quality of that image that you're extracting from your video. But this is what it comes down to: getting to know your camera. If you play with this exposure triangle for a while, I think you'll find very quickly how you can just make a couple of small adjustments, and it's going to have a huge impact on the quality of that video. It's really going to pop. It's going to you'll see some that look all dark and grainy, and then all of a sudden yours will hit that, the shopper will hit your VDP page, and that video is just going to be nice and clean and crisp and sharp, and it's going to pop right off that page for them. So those adjustments are in there. Every camera that you have out there, you have the ability to find that combination that's really going to make that video pop for you. It's just a matter of investing the time to do some samples in the different environments, and find those settings that are going to work best for you at that time. So when we get to audio quality now, again, you've got really three options for your audio. One is you can talk about the vehicle as you're shooting the video and walking around the car. The other option is post-production audio, where you just shoot the video and you come back in and add the audio layer on top of the video in post-production. And the third is automated, where the audio is added automatically for you. And you can use any combination thereof. You know, if you're used to talking about the car as you shoot it and you walk around, that's awesome. And then all of a sudden, though, you find one that, oh man, I really wanted to say this, or I wanted to talk about that, or there was a lot of noise. I didn't really notice an airplane flew overhead, and I got drowned out on this one. So, well, instead of going all the way back outside and shooting another video, if you've got a good quality image of of the vehicle, just pull it up. There's tons of editing equipment out there that allow you to put to add the audio layer post-production, and it just makes it a lot easier than having to go out and shoot the video again. So, and a lot of people use all three combinations. Some of the vehicles they talk about, some of the more traditional units that don't have a lot of uniqueness, so you just throw an automated audio layer on top of that, and then they go in and do post-production work on both of those, whether it's one of them that they've added while they were talking about the car, they come in and do the post-production audio, or whether it was an automated audio, they come in and they replace that with a post-production audio. So a lot of different choices. Again, though, what it comes down to is controlling your environment. If you are talking about the car while out at the lot, use either a wireless microphone, or make sure you have a good microphone attachment on your camera. A lot of good noise reduction microphones out there that will really let your voice drown out a lot of that background noise, and really focus in on just capturing your voice and giving you a good quality audio. So unfortunately, a good way to run a good quality video is by having a poor audio. So again, if you need to, you always have that ability to either to replace the audio with post-production. And again, I've got an article about audio, different ways of doing audio, different types of microphones and things of that nature that can help with the audio quality. So then we get to the video and the audio content. This is what you are shooting and saying, and how you are shooting and saying it. It comes down to the style of video that you want to shoot. Popular styles are, you have the spokesperson strategy. I'll cue a couple of these up so you can hear some of these. I hope that the audio and the videos will play well for you over the GoToMeeting.
What is Automotive Group in Chillicothe, Missouri, the highest rated dealership in Middle America, and you can learn why by going to over2000reviews.com. So if you were in the market for a very equipped truck that gives you off-road capabilities and so much more, well, check out this 2015 GMC Sierra. As you see, it's a really nice, just stone white in color. You have that nice clear coat on there to really bring out the shine. You have massive projector headlamps with LED accent lamps just surrounding them.
So a couple of things to know. First, you'll notice the length of the video. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But with this style, you've got one person working the camera, the other person, she's got the microphone on and talking about the vehicle. You know, again, a lot of different ways to use the spokesperson type model. But what it gets into is not just what you're saying, how you're saying it, the quality of the content. You know, what it is you're talking about with the vehicle. One person strategy is where the same person who's shooting the video is talking about the vehicle at the same time.
It's a beautiful day in Florida, and I got this amazing 2011 Ford F-250 Monster. FX4 package features skid plates and high-performance shocks. XLT quad cam. Now, the FX4 package is valued at $295. Being a 6.2-liter Triton muscle with only 18,000 miles. Guys, you ready for this? Over $8,200 in upgrade.
So that's the one person, you know, working the video camera, talking about the car at the same time. The post-production audio that we talked about. Another good way of adding it.
Welcome to Click Lewis. Working hard for you. Click Lewis proudly presents the 2015 Chevy Cruze 2LT, stock number 5388711, powered by an Ecotec 1.4-liter i4 SMPI dual overhead cam turbocharged engine with a 6-speed automatic transmission with overdrive. This 2015 Chevy Cruze is GM certified with less than 23,000 miles on the odometer.
So you've got a lot of things in play, you know, besides what you're saying. You've got the quality of the video. You've got the speed that you're walking around the car, the bounce that you get. You know, obviously, the faster you're going around the car, more than likely, the more bounce you're going to get. A lot of factors coming into play when it comes to the content of the video. So we're going to talk about how we can, you know, really make sure we're delivering the best product. You've got your automated audio. So now that you've walked around the car.
2015 RX350. The RX350 offers a driver-inspired design and intuitive technology that puts you in total control of your interior. Paired with a spacious cargo area and a powerful V6 engine, the RX350 continues to offer the best combination of powerful performance and interior luxury in its class.
You know, a lot of the lot service companies, the photography companies out there are offering that as a service these days. For the dealerships that are on that maybe are looking for a live video strategy, contact your local photography company, whoever's doing your photographs right now, or you know, someone in your area that does them. They're probably offering that type of a service these days. I think it's probably more are than aren't, and it's a great step. And there are times when, you know, I watch videos where I see someone walking around the car, shooting the video, whether, you know, talking about the car as a spokesperson or talking about the cars or walking around it, and it's just either their personality is very monotone, very bland, not a lot of emotion or excitement in the video, or the video itself is real bouncy and choppy, and I'll call them up and say, hey man, I know, you know, I'm proud of you for wanting to get into this live video game, but you either, you know, we got some improvements we need to make, or you just need to go back to stitch photo videos because your success rate, your completion rate on your videos are just tanking because it's just not a very good quality video. So I have that conversation all the time. People ask me, you know, well, if I start doing live videos, how much more engagement am I going to get? You know, how many more video views am I going to get? How many more leads am I going to get? And the answer is, I don't have an answer for you. It comes down to you. It comes down to the quality of your video. There are people who are doing live videos that get and just an amazing amount of engagement and an amazing amount of leads increased and then there's others who start doing live videos, and just because you can tell they're not put their heart's not in it, they're not trying, the quality's terrible, they get fewer leads than they were getting when they had stitch photo videos on there. So it's all about what you're putting into it and is what you're going to get out. Here's an example of, I call it the drive-by. You'll notice a lot of the vehicle in motion, not the person in motion.
The 2011 Chevrolet Camaro SS, powered by a 6.2-liter V8 engine, with a 6-speed automatic transmission with overdrive. This rear-wheel drive convertible, with fewer than 10,000 miles on the odometer, gets up to 25 miles per gallon. This Chevrolet features side airbags, rear spoiler, and premium wheels. Safety features include traction control.
So you've got the indoor, the inside, test drive, all of those things going on. Depending on your style, you're probably going to want to invest into some stabilizers, so that you're not just holding the camera. You're holding the camera's on a stabilizer. It's going to reduce some of that shakes or some of that wiggle out of the video. At a minimum, use a monopod with a stabilizer on it. But again, it's what works best for you, your style. The type of video that you're shooting is going to look better with the different type of stabilizer, and you're going to be able to manage it better. There's stabilizer software out there. Some of it's free out on the web. Some of it, might cost have a monthly fee associated with it. But those can clean up. This is an example of a video that's been run through an online stabilizer. You can see the one on the left bouncing a little bit more. The one on the right, some of that bounce has been cleaned up. It's the exact same video, just being showed side by side. So if this is the style of video, this is the type of video that you're shooting, use a stabilizer if you still haven't pulled all of that bounce out of there. Slow down a little bit, first of all. Secondly, try some of the stabilizer software that are out there. They can play a big difference. And again, I've got a lot of resources for stabilizers that you can just click on and go to in there. But now we start getting to the audio part of the content, and this is where most people, that you just lose it. We hear all the time that you want to keep your video short. You got to be a minute or less, and in a minute or less. So now you're trying to hurry. You're really trying to make sure you get in the good things that you want to talk about in that 60 seconds, and you may not always deliver the presentation the way it needs to be delivered. Now, I don't think a video needs to be 60 seconds or less. Generally, what we see is it's somewhere between 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes is pretty solid if it's a good video. Now, if it's not a good video, you're going to see people watching 5-10 seconds of it and they're gone. If it's got a lot of motion, a lot of bounce, the audio quality is not what they wanted to see, your completion rate is going to be extremely low. So to kind of give you an idea of where you need to be in your completion rates, a stitch photo video's completion rate is going to be around 70-75%. A live video, a good live video, is going to bump that up about 10%. So it's going to be 80-85% in the completion rate. That means people who start watching the video finish it all the way to the end, be with an average rate than being 85% of that video. The crazy thing, though, is if you noticed a lot of those videos I was showing you, they were in the 2.5 to 3.5 minute range, pushing 85-90% completion rates. That's because the quality of the content being delivered. So here's another great example of not just talking about what features the vehicle has, but why. This is where most people lose it right here. You do a great job at saying this vehicle has this, the vehicle has this, it has this, it has this, it has this. But what does that mean? A lot of people out there that are watching your video may not know what that feature is or why that feature is important. So it's very important. We hear this in sales all the time. sell the why. And that's exactly what your video is. Yes, your video, in your video, you want to give information, but the true value, where that video goes from being a marketing tool to a sales tool, is in the emotional value of that video. And if you don't have the emotional value that you need to have, if you're not selling the car, if you're not making that shopper want this car, that's what it's about. They're looking at vehicles, not just other vehicles in your inventory. They're looking at tons of vehicles in a lot of other people's inventory as well. And what it comes down to is the person who makes the shopper want the car you have. That's the trap we fall into a lot in online marketing. We hope that we have the car the shopper wants. So we put a lot of information about the car, hoping that this is the one that they will want, instead of selling them the car we have. If you think about it, this is exactly what happens when they walk onto the lot. Shopper walks onto the lot. We may not have the exact car they want, but it's the salesman's job to make them want one of the cars that you have. So you can accomplish that exact same emotional process with your video. And here's a great example. This gentleman's been doing videos for many years. One of the pioneers of actual video walkarounds for the automotive industry. You're going to see a combination of a lot of the things that we just talked about, but most importantly, I want you to listen to the words being said.
Welcome to the Volkswagen. Spring is in the air. You know what that means? It's wagon season. Hey, I'm Ken B from Douglas Volkswagen. Let me show you an exceptional buy for a 2008 VW Passat cover wagon. And look at this sports car. Black on black with 27,000 road miles. It's CSC, Carfax, clean. Let's review the rest of this one. Come on. Okay, here on our side is a beautiful Passat. Let's check it out. First off, the black leatherette seats are immaculate. No rips, no tears. And for that matter, it doesn't look like anyone ever sat in these seats. And one thing that I would appreciate when I'm looking at a pre-owned vehicle is the fact that it's a non-smoker's car. I don't have anything against smokers, but I don't smoke, so I don't like that. There's no strange odor, no strange smells whatsoever in this car. We have our 6-speed, Porsche-designed Tiptronic transmission. You can put it in the Passat and drive, or throw it to the right and shift this manually. A lot of fun to drive. As I said, it's also the DSG transmission, which means you have the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. You shift on the fly right here. A lot of fun to drive. Gives you the feeling of a manual.
So that's what we're talking about right there, is selling the why. Ken doesn't just talk about this is the feature and then move on to the next feature. He sells the feature. This is why this feature is important. This is why you want it, Mr. Shopper. So, you know, I don't know how many cars Ken sold in his lifetime, primarily via these videos, but I can tell you, people show up at the store all the time, and it's a huge percentage. I'm going to venture it's up into the 80–90% of the people that show up at the store all say, yeah, well, I saw that great video on the internet, and so, you know, that's what got me here. So he's, you know, it comes down to the science of not just the vehicle and the image part of the car that the shopper's seeing, but the words you're saying and really selling the shopper, selling why this feature, why that feature, why you want to own this car, and creating that emotion. Definitely include your CPO or your Carfax information in your presentations. Make sure you talk about your dealership's value proposition. Here's why you can trust us. That's what it comes down to. Again, if we break it down to what happens on the lot, it's sell the dealership, sell yourself, sell the car. We want to do the same thing online with your videos. You want to sell the dealership. Here's why we're the good guys. Here's why you can trust us, right there in this video. Again, going back to Google's presentation, Google's report, that's one of the important micro moments. It's not just about what car, but what dealerships. So instead of making the shopper search other content to try to find, now that, yeah, this is I really like this one, but do I, you know, is this a dealership I can trust? Is this a dealership I want to do business with? Instead of making the shopper go search for that, other places, have it right there in your video. And don't talk about time-sensitive data, because if the price changes, if this changes, if that changes, you don't want to have to re-record an audio just because of that change. But there's a lot of things, a lot of ways you can do that. You know, priced below, priced around, starts at, a lot of different things with the prices and things of that nature. And you can use data in your videos. You can use overlays, data-driven content for that time-sensitive data, so that as it changes, it automatically changes on your videos. What kind of data should be on your videos? So to me, it's simple. If it's on your VDP page, it probably needs to be in or on your video. You can automatically, if you're doing videos for new inventory, you can have automated rebates and incentives showing, and as those adjust, they can automatically adjust on your videos. Any type of special, you know, the prices are reduced and things of that nature, those things can all be dynamically added to your video. So you can enhance that informational and emotional content. And that's the next very important part of having that video itself. You have these conversion widgets that you're paying a lot of money for, whether it's a gift card, a gas card, you know, some kind of a virtual credit consultant, or instant price quotes, or whatever it might be. You've got those banners on your websites. You can easily integrate those banners onto your videos, so that now they're not just on your website, but they can be on other touch points that that your videos are playing on, and including little things like geo-targeting, using the rule-based, behavior-based messaging on your video. So again, Google says that half of the shoppers with mobile devices are using that are smartphones, use the smartphones while they're at the dealership. And what they're doing, the top action, is checking out a competing dealer's inventory. They're seeing, what kind of a deal, what kind of a vehicle does the other dealership have. So I'm on dealership A's lot, but in my search process, I've seen the inventory. I've been to dealership B's website. They had one I liked also. Maybe it's the salesperson I don't like. We know that, you know, I think it's still around 70% still today. The number one reason people don't buy when they're at the store is they didn't like their salesperson. So maybe they're just there, maybe they're just not vibing with this salesperson, because they, you know, the old negotiation process and all the pain that goes into it. So maybe they're like, well, you know what? I remember this, you know, that salesperson over at that other dealership. I remember their video. I remember that car. I remember that dealership. I remember that value proposition. Something about your communications that you've had with them that's going to make them want to go back and look at you, go back, whether it's a VDP page, an email, a specific piece of inventory, all those various things. So you can utilize your videos to dynamically communicate with those shoppers when that happens. So you know, give them messages that, you know, hey, we'll be anybody's, you know, anybody's price by $1,000, $2,000. Give them your gift card offer right there. If you've given them a gift card offer before of $25, well, it didn't work. They're over at your competitor's lot right now. Maybe you should increase that to 100 or 200, 250, whatever. You know, make it about you know, the trade-in. We'll give you, you know, X more for your trade than anybody else. Whatever your dealership does, you have a last chance promotion. You have a last chance type of event that you are, you know, that your dealership's regularly doing. Instead of waiting for them to pick up the phone and call, instead of hoping that they pick up the phone and call, instead of hoping that they send over that message or chat with you while they're on the lot, hit them right there while they're on the competitor's lot showrooming. Boom, hit them right there on your video with that message. And there's no better way to make that communication. And it doesn't have to just be on your website. It can be in a lot of different touch points, a lot of different videos. Maybe they're watching your the video email that you sent them with the video in it. Maybe they're on your website, or they're on you know, this blog or this touch point or that point. And there's also a lot of ways that you could transfer that same information that they're on the lot right that second, watching on your website, watching that video on this touch point, on that touch point, watching that video email, transfer that data in real time to your CRM so the CRM can notify you of that event at the same time. So now you don't have to wait for them to hopefully call you. You can pick up the phone and call them while they're standing on your competitor's lot. So a lot of powerful things you can do with the informational and emotional enhancement of your video. And those things you can do increase by the amount of visibility that your videos get. The more eyeballs your video has, the more valuable that video is. That's what it comes down to. We need to be trying to do anything and everything we can do to get as many eyeballs on that video as possible. Yes, we know it's going to be on our website. It's going to be on our mobile site. We want to be able to utilize it in our email communications with our shoppers. Even if we're doing personalized lead response videos, those are awesome, and it's a great process to have implemented at your store. But utilize your inventory videos in those communications as well. So as you're sending that personal message, send the video of the vehicle along with them, so that when that shopper is over there showrooming, you don't have to worry about them having to all the time it's going to take them to find go back to your website, find your mobile site, find the car, find the video, so on and so on. They just pull up the email you sent them, boom, it's right there. So make it easy as possible for the shopper with those video emails. Have the videos out on Facebook. Send them to your online marketing partners. These are just a couple of the numerous ones out there. Have that video on YouTube. Now, a lot of people use YouTube as your host, and that's cool. YouTube's a free hosting service, and if you want to host your videos on YouTube, it doesn't cost any money to host them over there, and you can grab those links and you can have those videos automatically on your website, and you can get those videos on other touch points. But it can also turn into additional work in getting the videos on as many touch points, and you can lose a lot of that informational and emotional enhancement capabilities that you would have if you're utilizing a video host that specializes in the automotive industry. And there's several of them out there. Yes, we're one, but there's several other ones out there besides us that give you that ability. So, but even if you're hosting with someone else, do you still want to send those videos to YouTube because you want that visibility that they can get on YouTube as well? So you have them in your eBay ads, Craigslist ads. I don't have Craigslist see on here, but Craigslist doesn't let you put a video URL, but if you put or a hyperlink to it, but if you put the URL or the URL for a landing page that has the video on it, a lot of times the shoppers will copy and paste that URL and go to that landing page because they want to see the video. If you let them know that you can watch a video of this vehicle by copy and pasting this link, a lot of shoppers, you'll be amazed at how many shoppers do that. Another very important thing to get noticed on Google is make sure your website provider is utilizing a video sitemap. Now, there's a lot of things that that we try to do every day to optimize our visibility on Google, and I'm not discounting any of those strategies, but I can tell you a strategy that's underutilized yet is still one of the more important strategies to use today is a video sitemap. Having all of your videos, particularly your inventory videos, disclosed to Google as it being a video, so that as someone is shopping on YouTube or is shopping on Google, doing a specific type of search, they recognize in most cases the way it's set up, it's going to be your entire VDP page that is seen by Google as a video, so that when somebody selects to watch the video, boom, they're actually going to land on your VDP page of your website. It's a great way to get additional traffic and to get additional visibility for your inventory out there and draw a lot of additional traffic. So use YouTube, for your inventory videos, no matter who your host is, as a touch point. Also make sure you have that video sitemap. It's extremely important. Another great way to reduce that shop time is to use a video landing page whenever possible. You're not always going to be able to use a video landing page. A lot of your websites that don't embed video inside the site, so you have to use an HTML code or a JavaScript code to put a button to watch a video. Well, you can use a video landing page so that when the shopper clicks that button to watch that video, they don't just have the small little video player that pops up. It's an entire landing page that has your value proposition video on it. You can have, if you're looking at a used vehicle, you can have a similar new model and any incentives that you got with that one. You can have testimonials. You can have, if you've shot a personalized walk around message, or you've taken an existing video and customize a message on top of it and send it to them, you can have an existing video for them. There's a lot of different combinations that you can utilize. You can have all of your data-driven communications right there on the videos, on the landing pages as well. So utilizing that video landing page is another great way to get more eyeballs on more of your different video types. I know we're specifically talking about inventory videos right now, but another way of having a good inventory video is when you get that shopper emotionally attached to that vehicle on your VDP page, now get them emotionally attached to you. Now make them want to know that they can trust you. They can trust your store. We're the good guys. Come on down. You know, it's okay. Contact us. Pick up the phone and call us. Fill out the form and give us this information. Just come on down to the store. And having all of that in one location so the shopper doesn't have to now go search for different places on your website. So I tried to keep it under 45 minutes. I'm not sure if I accomplished that or not, so we'd have room for some questions. So I think we'll open it up to questions.
All right. Yeah, everybody, this is Brian Ankney. If you have some questions, on your screen there is a tab there where you can ask questions. Go ahead and type those in there, and I'll ask them directly to Tim. Actually, there was a question, Tim, that came up when we were watching one of the videos, and we addressed this once before in a past webinar. It says, is it supposed to look choppy on the video? And I believe that's because we're running through my internet, Tim's internet, and YouTube. That's accurate, right, Tim?
Yeah, there's going to be a big difference in right now in how smooth the videos that you're seeing versus what I'm seeing, simply because we're running over internet and on a GoToMeeting. That's correct.
Okay. Let's see. Well, we have a couple people asked if they would get a copy of the slide deck. If you want to just email me or Tim, my email is brian@autosuccessonline.com. And Tim, what's your email?
It's right here on the screen, t.james@flickfusion.com.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to email either one of us, we will get you a copy of it. Here's another one. Does it make sense to put calls to action tabs in videos if they will be posted on many different vendor sites?
Yeah, you know, if you don't have call to action in your video and on your video, you've wasted your video. That's the whole reason you have a video is to generate some type of an emotional response. The problem is with call to action in general, and this is a whole nother webinar that we could get into, but is that we try to leave it up to the consumer to let them decide or just automatically know, here's what you should do next. And that's not the way it works. And that's what any button, you know, there's a difference between buttons and call to action. Most people will put buttons on their site or buttons on this or buttons on that and expect that just because I have a button, somebody's going to click that button and give me their information, or just because I have a phone number, somebody's going to pick up the phone and call that number. You've got to tell the shopper what you want them to do. You've got to tell the shopper why they need to do it. And those are two very important keys of call to action. So absolutely, you want call to action in your videos, on your videos, whichever is possible. You're not always going to be able to put a call to action on top of your video. A lot of there are certain touch points or certain places out there either use their own video players or you can embed it on top of your video, I guess, in those scenarios. But dynamic call to actions you wouldn't be able to have on every touch point, but on the ones that, when possible, you should definitely have it. But you should definitely also make certain that within your video, your audio layer of your video, that you are telling the shopper, here's what I want you to do, here's why you should do it.
Right. Here's another one. Should you embed videos in email or use links?
Always use a link. Don't embed it. One of the big problems with video emails is spam filters. And yeah, it's cool if there's a video embedded in an email, but a lot of email clients wouldn't even play it if it's embedded in there. And so there's only a handful of email clients even that would allow to play the video inside the email. But then for all the other ones, or for the amount of emails are going to get kicked to a spam filter, to a spam folder, it's just not worth it. So always have a link. You can have an image that looks like a video for somebody to click the play button, and then when they click the play button, a landing page opens, the video opens, whatever. But yeah, you should always link to it 100% of the time.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Brian. I'm sorry. I'm not hearing this last question.
Okay. If we are doing this at the dealership, what should be the turnaround time from getting the car in to getting it online? How long should that process take?
Well, there's not a one answer to that question. Obviously, we want it to be as short a period of time as possible. Time is money. It's all about turn rate. The faster we can get a good ad online, the faster somebody's going to come in and buy the car. So the turn rate is still today the number that rules. So the longer the car sits there on the lot without a good quality video, the longer the turn rate is going to be, and the less profit the dealership's going to be able to generate with that dollar bill. Now that said, every dealership's going to be different. I would try to. One of the biggest problems that dealerships run into when starting a live video process is they try to implement a process that requires a lot of change, and we all know. You start trying to require a lot of change in process at the store, things just end up not getting done. So start with the path of least resistance. Start with the video type that's going to be easiest for you, and evolve it into a more dynamic. Change slowly over time versus trying to just start with the, we're going to go out and buy a whole bunch of equipment. We're going to hire a person who's got a radio personality voice, and they're going to come in and so on and so on. The least amount of change that you can implement at the beginning of the start of the process, the implementation of the live video strategy, the more likely it is your strategy is going to stick, and you're going to be able to then improve it and scale it over time.
Okay. Are there dealers shooting live videos on all of their vehicles, and does it work better on new or used?
The short answer is yes, absolutely. There are dealerships that are shooting videos on every single piece of inventory that they have. The long answer is there is no answer, or the second part of the answer is there is no answer on whether it works better for new or used, because it depends on the quality of the video. If you're shooting new inventory videos that suck, that's your answer. You're not going to get a lot of result. If you're shooting new inventory videos that are very good and high quality, you're going to get an amazing response. And the same goes for your pre-owned. So, one trap we do fall into. Let's say all things are equal, and you are shooting great quality videos, new and used. The trap that we a lot of times fall into is we think that when we look out our window and we see all these new pieces of inventory, and to us they all look the same. But to the shopper at home, they're not. They're not in the car business like we are. To us, they all start looking the same, and it's just another piece of inventory. It's just another piece of metal out there. But to the shopper at home, if there's a $1 difference in the price, you better tell me why. I need to know, and that's a big deal to me. So it's extremely important. Just because our new inventory to the shopper is not the same. They are not all the same. They are extremely different, and I need to know. If you want me to buy it from you, you need to be telling me exactly why and what makes this vehicle special for this price that would get me emotionally attached to it and make me want to come in and buy it. So is it a little bit easier possibly for us to make those differentiations with our pre-owned? Possibly, but those are the things you need to focus on for your new. Is what is it about this particular one that makes it $5 less than this one? Is it just the color? Because that can happen. We can have two exact models. The red one's priced higher than the brown one. Why? Because it's brown. All right, well, make sure the shopper knows that. So little simple things like that can go a big way in improving the response, the emotional response that you're going to get from the video.
Everybody for taking today and join Tim and I. And Tim, I really would like to take time out of your day to share all good information with us. Again, if you want to have questions as you go, please feel free to reach out to Tim or myself. If you have ideas for future webinars, reach out to me via AutoSuccess webinars or via email. Tim, I'd like to thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with all of our viewers today before we let it go?
No, just the main thing, start. If you're not already shooting videos, start. If you haven't already gone out and played with your camera settings to see how you can make those videos pop, it's in there. You've got a good, awesome, quality video that's going to pop off that page in there. You just got to find the settings that's going to make it happen. So get out there and play around with it, and don't accept anything less from yourself. It's money. It's what's going to make that car turn faster. So it's important.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all take the time to join us again for a webinar. Have a great day. Great stuff.
Thank you, everybody.